Okay, part 3. Let's get this design finished. Now, we don't need, once we've got all the cat objects done, we no longer need that cat image, but it's locked. So I'm going to unlock it by right-clicking on it. And I'm actually going to unlock all. So I'm unlocking all the pumpkin as well, because we're going to be doing some things with that. So now I can select that image and delete it. All right. Now, there's some things we need to do. First of all, the shading for the pumpkin needs to be underneath the outline of the pumpkin. So let's move that up to the top first. So I'll select that and hold my shift key down and select the last one. They'll all be selected and we'll move them to the start. So that's this icon here in your colour film. We'll move all of those objects up to the start. That looks a bit better already. Now, we don't want satin stitch running through behind. If I go out of true view, you can see that we've still got our complete satin stitch running around here. If we use the remove overlaps tool, it can get a bit messy. I think in this instance it's better to use your knife tool to cut away the pieces you don't need. So let's select the piece we want to adjust, which is this one here. Now, in my rendition of this design, when I first did it, my pumpkin shape was a little bit different here. It curved down under here, and so I left part of the pumpkin showing under his chin. But in this case it doesn't curve down that way. I could reshape it to do that, but I think I will just cut it away so we don't have that part of the pumpkin and his face hangs over a little bit further. It's entirely up to you how you do these things. So we might have to reshape this end where it comes into his paw, but the other end is fine. So let's, while we've got it selected, go to our edit toolbox and get our knife tool, and our pink line will appear, and it's a line through the middle of the satin stitch because this is a line we created, an outline, not a filled area. So we only need to cut the line. Now I want to cut it about here, just inside the paw. So I'm clicking once on the inside, once on the outside, and I want to cut it again here, just inside the face, and get rid of all of that section there. So once I've cut through both pieces, so I left clicked over here, left click there, left click here, and left click there. So I've got 2 cuts through that line, creating a section, and then hit enter. And if you look in your colour film, you will see that that selected area now is 2 pieces. This bottom piece is the piece we don't want, so we can select that and delete it. And that's removed it from under his face. As I said, we'll tweak these ends in a moment. Now on the back here too, we want to cut that piece out that runs through the face there as well. So we're going to select it again, and we're going to get our knife tool again, and we're going to cut through this end. So left click either side, and then I might have to put a right click here to get around this curve of the line, because if I go straight across I'm cutting through here. So I'm going to right click there just to get around, and I'm going to left click there and there to cut that section out and enter. And now if we look again, we've got 3 pieces now, this end, and that piece in the middle. So we can select that piece in the middle and delete it. Now for those of you with the creator level, you might have been thinking, oh, but we need that to make it an applique. But no, we don't. I'm going to show you how to manually make the applique. And one of the reasons is that when we've got this piece down here that isn't a closed area, it's an open object, and that won't form an applique anyway for the creator level people. But another reason too is if we have the fabric going across here, and this was an issue I found when I did it myself. I had a light background fabric And then I used a fairly dark orange fabric for the applique, and I actually saw the line of the fabric going across here. So I'll tell you how I got around that shortly, but just bear with me for the moment and know that I need these are the only pieces I need. So getting rid of that piece in the middle across here and this piece across here will be all that we need to do as far as removing pieces. Now I'm going to just reshape both these ends. This one's not too bad here, but I'll just select that end first. I've got my select tool, I'll click on it and I'll zoom into that area, and I'll go to the reshape tool, and I'm just going to put another node there, another square node, so that I can take this node up a little bit. What I'm trying to do is, what will happen just then is get a slight angle there, just so this bottom end goes underneath as well. So I'll do the same here. I'm going to put a left click just before the last left node, square node there, and then I can take that square node up. That will curve, oh I've gone a bit extreme, that will curve that in because we've got a curved area around here. And I might just, this, yes, it's going in under the claw, that'll be all right, and it's going into the paw, so I think that will be okay. Might just move this one back a little bit just to have that less abrupt, and move that round one a little bit to get a slightly less abrupt curve. That should be okay. We won't know for 100% sure until we test so you always do that, and then if you need to adjust slightly you can. And that's why we always save our design as an art file first before we send it to our machine in the machine file format, so that we can always go back to the art file and edit very well. Right, let's select this side now and reshape that, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to put a square node just here, and then I can take this one up and I'll just bring that down to get a smooth curve there. So just tweak till you've got a smooth curve going in there. Because this is an outline, we can only play around with the center line, so you can't pull these corners in unless you decide to make it something other than if you break it apart, it'll turn into an object with nodes around the outside. But generally speaking, then you end up with hundreds of nodes and it's difficult to edit. So I find it easier just to try and tweak it like this. I've gone a bit extreme, so come back down a bit. Maybe bring that one down a bit and bring this back a bit. Just so we've got enough overlap so that the face will cover it nicely. And click off. And I'll go back to true view so you can see what that looks like now. So I'm quite happy with him now. So let's have a look at just the order of these shadings on the pumpkin and see if they're in a logical order. So we're starting with this one. I'll go out of true view so you can see what I'm selecting. Tab, 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 tab. Okay, they're in a logical order going around. And then the next thing to stitch is actually it would be better if I started here, went to there, 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 and there, and then I would already be underneath this object here, so it could start to stitch. So I might do that, I might reverse that order. So I'm going to click off and go back up to the shadings, and I'm going to get my select tool and I'm going to select this one first, hold my control key down, this one next, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and then sequence as selected. And then it will go to this object, then this object, that makes sense, then this object, and then the face on the pumpkin. We'll worry about that in a minute. With the cat, the first object that stitches, I've got that, and I think I said that was a good idea in the last video, but I've rethought that, and I think we should start the cat with this ear here. So I'll hold down my control key now, and then I would stitch the tail and that ear, and that way we could path across there. Then I want to stitch the whiskers, if you remember, and then the face, and then the claws. Whoops, click that by mistake. So click on it again if you click something by mistake. I can't zoom in with my control key down, but I can temporarily release my control key, zoom in, and then press my control key down again and continue on. I want to select that one, then the paw. I can't sew the eyeballs yet because I need to sew the orange eyes, and I can't sew the orange eyes until after I've sewn the face. So we're going to have to do at least a couple more colour changes. But after I've done the paw, I could then go ahead and stitch the face on the pumpkin. So I'll just zoom out a bit more for you. So I've selected that one. Let's go to the nose next, and then the other eye, and then the mouth. Okay, well, let's sequence those as selected. Oh, it appears I've got two different coloured blacks. This may happen sometimes, so I'm going to cancel that, and I'm just going to, I don't know why I've got two different coloured blacks. Let's go to the colour blocks because it'll show up. Okay, the face on the pumpkin for some reason is a different colour black, so I'm going to select that and change it to number 2. All right, now I'll start that little process again. So the ear, hold my control key down, the tail, the other ear, the whiskers, the face, the claws, the paw, then the face on the pumpkin. Sequence as selected. That's better. Okay, so then I've got the eyes and nose and the eyes. So I can't get that any better. So I've now got the stitch order how I want it. I'm not going to create my paths yet because I want to show you what happens if you use the advanced applique tool. Now I know create a level you haven't got this, and I'm not going to use the advanced applique tool, but I just wanted to show you one of the reasons why I didn't go down that path. Also, create a level people, you can't convert this into an applique. Let's go to our applique toolbox. You've got digitize applique, which you would have to digitize a line around the bit you want to fill with fabric. So you would have to digitize a line through the middle of the face around here, and it would create a border, a satin stitch border, and a placement line and a tack down line. But you would have the same problem. You would have to cut your satin stitch border. It wouldn't look as nice as having this separate border on top of this outline for the pumpkin, and generally speaking, it's not, because we've really got 3 areas that we want to fill with the same fabric, it's not really suitable. We're not digitizing an applique that's got holes in it, and we can't convert because we haven't got a closed object. So they're the tools that you've got in the creator level. In Designer Plus, we've got advanced applique, and that really makes this sort of applique, generally speaking, a lot easier. So I'll just select this so you people in creator level can see what it does. So I'm going to select all the objects. So select the top one, hold my shift key down, select the bottom one, everything's selected. Then the advanced applique tool will be available. You can click on that, and you can see here that what happens is that it puts mesh. That's interesting, it missed that bit there. So I'm going to close that. So I haven't got enough overlap with this piece to include that piece in the applique. So we'll just go out of true view and click off and select this piece, and I obviously have to reshape it to get a little bit more overlap. Try that. What's it like? It should be all right at this end. I think it was because of this little tiny claw. Let's try it again now. Select, click off, and I'm just going to go Control A, which will also select everything in the design, and go to the Advanced Applique tool. Still didn't get any mesh in here. So I would have to fiddle around a bit more to make sure that that enclosed a shape. So I'm not even going to get it. But as you can see, the mesh also goes through the middle of the face here, and as I described before, if your applique fabric is a lot darker than your background fabric, you may see that line of the fabric under the black stitching of the face, which is what happened to me. So as I said, I'm not going to use the Advanced Applique tool. I'm going to manually digitize some applique lines. Now you can also just you could, if you wanted to, if you stitch this with a lighter colour orange on it, you could just have your base fabric as dark orange and not make it an applique at all. And then the lighter orange would outline the pumpkin. So that's another option rather than applique. But if you really want to applique, then we need to create a placement line and a cutting line if you want to cut in situ, which you might probably do for something like this, and then a tack down line. Now what I'm going to do is digitize the tack down line first, because that's going to be a zigzag and we don't want to be sticking outside the outlines. So we've got, as I said, I want to go around the face here so that if you do have a light background fabric and use a dark fabric, it won't be as noticeable if the fabric comes right up to the top of the head. So let's get our digitize, and we're going to do a zigzag outline. Now we need to right click on the zigzag icon to bring up the object properties, because we want to set those first. So the width, we don't want that 3 millimeters because our satin outline is 3 millimeters, so we want it less than that. So let's go 2.5 and go and spacing, I'll probably make that 1.5 just so it's a little bit tighter, and go OK. Right, so I'm going to show outlines and hide the stitches, and that will give me the exact outlines of the satin stitch and the outlines of the cat, so that I can use them as a guide. So if I start digitizing, and I'm going to use a pink, a really bright pink, because I want it to be a totally different color to everything else. So this will be the tack down line, and I'm going to start here on the outside, and I'm going to right click there because get off there. I need to hit my closed object digitize tool and make sure I've got that zigzag selected. Right click there and zoom in if you have to. See, I was way off, so I'll just backspace so I can get off. You want to be on this line for the outside of the pumpkin, because that way your zigzag should not show. But we're doing it on top of everything so we can really check it. So you might need to put a few more nodes in than you normally do so that you can follow this line accurately. I'm putting left clicks where I'm changing direction and right clicks everywhere else. Now I'll put a left click there, and then I'll right click around here. At those points we may need to slightly change. Now we need to go inside the head here because of the width of the zigzag. So I'm just going to come around here, and this part we might need to reshape. And then when we get down to here, follow this one. Now you be as accurate as you can. I don't want to bore you watching me click thousands of times. And we'll enter that. So we can only see an outline, but we can see our pink outline now. Now if we show our stitches again, you can see this on here. And so it's a matter of zooming in to make sure that it's inside that satin stitch all the way around, that there's no pieces poking out, which looks pretty good to me. Now obviously you won't stitch it with pink thread, you'll just have the same orange colour that you're going to stitch, but you need the stops so that you can stop. But here we go. Here it is too wide, it's sticking outside the head. So let's select that last object, and I can hide the outlines now because that's confusing. I'll go out of true view. Oops. Go out of true view, and you can see clearly there that it's poking out. So we're going to go to our reshape tool and just pull those nodes in till that zigzag is inside your face. I want to pull that one a little bit further. It's better. Right. A bit more. When you get all that zigzag inside, you've now got your actual digitizing line for your applique sorted. So you can then duplicate this and make a straight placement line from it, and then also a straight cutting line. Just about there. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. I've got a little bit of leeway here, which is what I want. Okay, so we'll select that and click off. Well, actually, we'll keep it selected. We'll right click on it and duplicate it. And I'll go out of colour blocks so you can see right down the bottom here. We've got a duplicate. We want to change the colour, so let's change it to, I don't know, green. And we'll make that a single run as well. So just click on your single run. And then we'll duplicate that one because we need a cutting line as well if you're going to cut. So we'll right click on there and duplicate, and we'll make that one purple. So these two need to be above the pink one. So we can select the pink one and take it to the bottom. And these three, so I've selected that one, hold your shift key down, select the bottom one, need to be stitched first. So we'll put them right at the top. And we'll look at true view. Okay. So we can't show a fabric in here because this is not strictly an applique. It's just a placement line, a cutting line and a tack down line, which we've manually created. They're not, the software doesn't know that they are applique objects. It just thinks they're ordinary objects, so we can't display a fabric. But as I said, if you have the whole fabric dark orange and you use a lighter orange for the pumpkin and the eyes, then you might not even need applique. But if you want to do it as an applique, then that's what you'll need as a minimum to create your fabric under here. And the reason I went around the head was so that I didn't get a line across here. Now another thing with that head is it's black and I had a light background fabric, so I did actually even still see a line, or still see through the head a bit. So what I did was increase the density of the stitching ever so slightly. So let's go down to the head. Here it is, and I'll right click on that to get the object properties up. Now the default is stitch spacing, which is your density, is 0.45. So I made that 0.4. You need to go to a smaller number to get a higher density. So in other words, the smaller the number, the closer together those rows of stitches will be. So it's 0.4 is a bit less than 0.45. So we'll apply that, and that has fixed the face. And I believe I did it on the paw as well, so we will do the paw as well. So we'll select that and change that to 0.4 and apply that. Alright, I don't think there's anything else I need to do on this design except the pathing, and then it's ready to send to the machine. So we'll go OK for the density. So that's one little trick you can do if you find that you can see through a dark area of stitching, you can still see some fabric through it, or vice versa, a light stitching on a dark fabric. If you're not getting enough coverage, but don't go berserk, just a very small tweak to the density. It should be all you need. Alright, let's get our pathing in. So the way I do my pathing is I start at the beginning of the design. Okay, I can't do anything. Oh, first of all, I'm going to select the first object, go right down to the last object, hold my shift key down and select that, so everything's selected, or you could go Control A, and I am going to the edit toolbox and I am going to apply the closest join again, because what has happened is I've moved objects around, and so some of those start and end points are in weird places. Now I've got a more logical start and end points on my objects, but you must put them in the right order first, otherwise you'd have to do this again. So now I'm right, I can go to out of true view and I can start my pathing. So let's go up to our travel toolbar, click on the tulip, which is for start and end. Click on the travel backwards to the start of the design, everything turns grey. Click on the object, travel by object, and click on the forward arrow. That will do the placement line, the cutting line, and the tack down line. So I've clicked that 3 times. I can't really do any travelling between those, and the machine will stop for a colour change anyway. As I said, you can sew it all in the same colour, but the machine will stop after each colour is stitched. And then we're on to our first bit of shading, which was a colour change, so we can't do anything about that. But let's zoom in here. We can see now that this bit of shading finishes here and starts there. So we need to finish it up here. So let's select it first. Look at our select tool, we'll select it and go to our reshape tool, and let's move our end up to underneath that satin stitch, and then select it and click off so nothing's selected. Our white cross is still here, so we get our digitize, open object, running stitch, and we need to have the orange color selected that we're using in the design, and then we can just left click here, right click up here, and left click where the next one starts and enter. That removes that jump stitch. Now, because I applied closest join, it's moved the end of this one down here, so I need to select that object and go to the reshape tool and move its end up to here. Okay, you can see a jump stitch from there to there, so the start of this one I need under the orange as well. So I'll tab, which will take me to the next object, and then I can move that start down there. So maybe applying the closest join wasn't the most efficient way to do this, but never mind. So now that's probably far enough for now. I'll just get the select tool, click off, and find where my red cross is. Obviously it's at the end of this one because I've been fiddling around. So I need to go back, so the left arrow, till my white cross is at the end of this piece here. So forward again. Right, here it is. So now I'm going to digitize my open object. I'm going to go over here and just follow this satin line around till I get to the start of this one. Left click there and enter. And that got rid of that jump stitch. Move forward one object, it's finished here. I need to select this object, whoops, escape, get my select tool, select this object, move its start down under the satin. It's ending under the satin here, so that's good, and this one's starting under the satin here, so that's good. Might just, while I'm here, tab through and fix these ones as well. So I'll move this end one down here, and let's zoom in there. I might move it to there. And this one starts under there and ends where? Let's tab and see. That's all good, it ends here, and if I tab, the satin outline will start there, so that's all good. Right, let's just click off. Let's travel backwards. Oh, we're here. Yeah, we need to travel back a couple to get to that last jump stitch that we need to remove. So open object, left click, right click, left click, enter. That got rid of that jump stitch. Travel forward through that shading, then create my next pathing, enter. Travel forward through that, create my next pathing from the white cross to the circle where that object starts, enter. Travel forward, that's all good. Travel forward, and this one ends here, and there's no jump stitch going from it, so obviously this one starts there. There's no triangle or circle indicating that, so we can go forward another one. That ends here, and we've got to get across to this other piece on the other side. So there must be a jump stitch across here somewhere. Let's see if I got that ends there. There it is, this jump stitch running through here and it coming to here. Okay, that's where this one starts. So we need to create our path. So we're going to left click. I'm going to come down around here. Okay, so I'm going to left click there, then right click, left click, right click, right click, left click, enter. That got rid of that jump stitch. Now we can travel forward through that object. And then the next object is black, which is the ear. So we can't do anything about that. That's not actually a jump stitch. There's a color change there, so we can travel forward. And it's going to be hard. It's always hard with black because you don't know whether you've traveled forward or not, but I am at the end of that ear and it's going to jump over there. So it looks like I have traveled through the ear. So I'll get my open object and make sure I've got the black and digitize across there, enter. Got rid of that jump stitch, travel forward through the tail. Now I'm going to travel back because the tail ends here and the ear starts there, so I'm going to travel back to before the tail. Select the tail, go to my start and end, move my end down the bottom here. I'll tab forward and move the start of the ear down the bottom here as well. Okay. Select, click off, travel back to the end of the tail and then digitize my open object across here, enter, gets rid of that jump stitch. Then I need to get to the whiskers, so I'm going to travel forward so my white cross is at the end of that ear. Then I'm going to left click, right click, left click at the start of that whisker and enter. That got rid of that jump stitch. Now with the whiskers, because they end out in the mid-air here, we want we want to actually be able to travel under the face, and to make them a bit bolder, it's better if we select those whiskers. Let's just get down to them. Here they are. That's the first one there. And if we go into our edit toolbox and we make that a double run, so just while it's selected, click on the word double run, and so now that object goes out there and back again, and you can see that jump stitch between the two has finished, has gone, because it's straight away stitched back here, but it has been replaced by a jump stitch from here to there. So this one is starting out here. Let's select that one, make that one a double run as well. Now the first one of those, or go to the reshape tool, starts out there and ends there, so the second one must start here and end out there, and that's why we've got the jump stitch, and we've still got that jump stitch there. But we can fix that just by moving one of these above the other. So select the bottom whisker of the bottom of the bottom whiskers, so the fourth whisker. Let me just make sure I've got the fourth whisker. There we go. And move that one up one object, and that got rid of all those jump stitches. So now it comes down to here, stitches out there, comes back, jumps across here, but they're so close it looks like there is no jump stitch created, and then stitches out and back. I can't see a jump stitch, so we're all good, I think. And so we'll move forward one object, that goes out, back one object, forward one object, back one object. Okay, and there's no little circles or triangles, so there is no tie off or anything, it or jumps. It has actually stitched very smoothly round to there. After the whiskers, the face, there is no connector, because the face must start here, and I can prove that by selecting the face and going to the reshape tool. And sure enough, that's where the apply closes join helps. So sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not. Select and click off so nothing's selected. So we're at the end of the whisker. We'll travel forward through the face, and we've ended up here, which is the start of the first claw. Now we'll travel through to the end of the first claw, which is here. I can see by this triangle, so we'll travel forward through that, and then we need to get to the start of this claw, so we'll have to go up around this part of the paw. So we'll go to our digitize, open object, single run, black, and away we go. Enter, and then we'll need to select this claw and move the start and end points. We need that to end under the paw as well. Now it's created this horrible stitch here. Let's see if we can just... No, that's not helping. Might just need to reshape this ever so slightly to cover that travelling underneath. I think that's as good as we're going to get it. Let's have a look at it in true view. Yeah, it looks alright. Okay, so we'll leave that there and we'll move... Undo. I just made a square node by mistake. Right. I'm going to move that over to there, and let's tab and move this start point up to there. Similar sort of thing happened here, so I'll just make this a little bit bigger. That's better. And that finishes there, and that starts there, so that's all right. So we'll go back to select, click off. We'll travel backwards to get our white cross here. We'll open object, digitize to eliminate the jump stitch round to the start of this one. Enter, forward through the claw, digitize our pathing, enter, then it stitches the claw, the last claw, then it stitches the paw. We've been through there, and then we can't do anything about this. There's nothing we can path under, so it'll stitch through the eye of the face, the nose of the face, the other eye, and the mouth, and that's all the black there is. Then we're going to go back by going forward to stitch the, go back to stitch the orange parts of the eye. Can't do anything about that either, and then the nose, and then the two eyeballs. So that's all there is. All our paths are done. We can't eliminate any more jump stitches than we have. So we can now save that design, and we can send it to our machine or export it as a machine file if you have a machine other than the Bernina. So happy digitizing. Thanks very much.